Today we have Justin Gelband on the podcast. He's a well-known fitness trainer who's worked with numerous A-list celebrities, including Taylor Swift, Leonardo DiCaprio, Anne Hathaway, Ryan Secrest, Candace Swanepoel, Miranda Kerr, and Irina Shayk, along with a number of other well-known models. Justin was dubbed the Model Whisperer by Time magazine, as he's built a following working with some of the world's most recognizable Victoria's Secret angels and Sports Illustrated swimsuit models. He's been featured in numerous media outlets, including People Magazine, Newsweek, New York Times, and Forbes Magazine. Justin is a movement specialist and founder of the JG app, a platform that offers the opportunity to understand how your body works best for you through your own body type and lifestyle. Justin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And, obviously people look at you now and they're like, well, he's trained all these people and achieved all these things. But kind of as we were talking about, before, like your mission's really just, movement through a lot of your experiences as well. So I know there's always a story, there's always a come up that led you to where you got to today. So I want to first start with what were things like for you growing up and how did you get into fitness?
Growing up, I was an athlete. I really excelled in swimming, tennis, and soccer and cross country. Mostly swimming and tennis. I started swimming and playing tennis when I was 3. And so my dad was a very big avid tennis player. He played first singles in college, and he probably could have played professional, but he chose the other routes in his life to be a lawyer and go on his own thing. And so from a very young age, I was always playing sports, and I was always into sports. It's kind of funny that, when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I used to run around with a Pele shirt, and now I'm living in Brazil, speak fluent Portuguese, and I have a Brazilian fiance and a family. So for me, it's so crazy because your life, you never know where you're going to be and what it's going to bring to you. I went to Rutgers College as far as college is concerned, and I was, studying many different areas of exercise science and sports management. So I graduated in a Bachelor of Science. We really don't, it's funny because in Brazil, and one of the things I think that is really important for people to know is when you're going out and you're going into your career, especially as a trainer, you need to be the most well-rounded trainer. And so for me, I got massage therapy certified and Pilates certified. And I studied at the Gray Institute for 9 years, and I got my NASM, ACSM. I worked with a professional boxer. I worked on yoga and stretching and anything that I could learn how to do. I got nutrition certified with Dr. Diadamo, and there's just so many things that go into being the best in your area of expertise. And I think that people shy away from, when you're looking at your career, you need to actually step back and look at what's going to make you the best for others, and for me, it was always like, I want to be a one-stop shop. And so growing up, when I was swimming, I swam for Berkeley Aquatic Club, which was a national swimming team. And we had the opportunity to see the biggest Olympians, Rowdy Gaines, John Neighbor, Janet Evans. They came and they spoke to us, and we got to see what life is like for a professional athlete. I got to train at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs for 6 weeks, where we went to the Army base where it says 7,250 feet. The air is rare. I got to experience exercise, fitness, and health in such a different way growing up, because my team had a majority of women. There was 40 to 50 women on the team and about 20 guys. And a lot of these women struggled with body issues, and women at that time, you didn't shave your legs because you had to shave and taper for swimming. And so women really felt insecure in so many ways. So there was anorexia, there was bulimia, there was depression. There were so many things going on in front of me. And when I looked at what I wanted to do when I got into college, I was like, I really want to be a part of the exercise science department, because I really want to do something that's dealing with health, fitness, and wellness in the body, but I'm not sure what. And so it was 1997 when I graduated from college. I had the opportunity to go to Miami and work for the Miami Fusion, which is a football team, because I was working for the New York, New Jersey Metro Stars. That's where I did my internship. And I was like, yeah, I can't sit behind a desk. This isn't for me. So I did what everybody else does when you first move to a new place. I get 5 different jobs. I opened up a swim school. I was teaching kids how to swim. I was delivering pizza and food for Rusty and Encino. I was extra in movies, and I was, building myself in a way where I could fend for myself and pay the rent and the bills and so forth. And I was training at 24-hour fitness in West Hollywood, and there was 2 fitness advisors there, and they say, listen, you train different than anyone I've ever seen. You're doing all these different types of balance and stabilization exercises. You don't really do crazy heavy weights. You're not, doing burpees and squats and push-ups and crazy CrossFit type style exercises. And we'd really like you to be a trainer. And I said, well, if you would like me to train, there's a bunch of overweight women and men that are running up and down the stairs and really training in a way that's not really detrimental to their way of living. And you need to allow me to train these people, because I think that I can really help these women and men reach a point where they can lose the weight, they can use nutrition and cardio, which is so important. They can focus on their everyday lifestyle, and they can do something that is going to benefit them in their life. And they were like, yeah, I don't know, we can't really take clients away from others. And I said, okay, well, then I'm not really interested in training, because this is where I feel I can excel, especially because water therapy and being in the water for someone who's overweight is really good for helping people to lose weight. A lot of people would say, hey, take this person up to a running canyon and have them walk a mountain for 2 hours, or, have them run up and down stairs like they were doing. And running doesn't really help the body when you're needing to lose weight. So an accident happened in the gym. One of the ladies that were running up and down the stairs fell, and I was able to recoup my suggestion of allowing me to train these women. And so I got, 2 or 3 women that were needing to lose between 60 and 80 pounds. I got a Asian man who ended up being a really special man to me, who we worked together for almost 2 years, who needed to lose 150 to 180 pounds. When I started with him, he was 410 pounds, and I got him down to 295 pounds. So, the Biggest Loser is something that was filmed at one of the gyms that I owned. And I always say that, none of these people lost weight in 3 months. And it's just very funny and very, let's not speak negative for a second. It's just, how can you put a show on where you teach people how to lose weight, and then afterwards you never give them the journey to continue? You never show their life and lifestyle afterwards. How come no one's ever heard about the show or these people or anything? And I feel that it's sad, because it was such a popular show when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, about people losing weight, and I felt that the way that they were trained and the way that they were treated was not the way that normal everyday people would be treated in real life. Because number one, people don't have all day to work on their nutrition and their exercise and their health and fitness, number one. And number two, when you build a program for someone, you have to guide them and give them the journey. So you can have them lose 50, 80, 100 pounds, whatever it is, but where they go from there, and how are they able to succeed, and what is their nutritional plan, and what is their guidance plan, and what is their mentality when they're done. Because over the years that they've been overweight, they've probably been depressed because they couldn't lose the weight. Now they lost the weight, but then they don't have anyone to guide them afterwards. And so I started my career this way. I started my career working at 24-hour fitness, making $8 an hour, working 60 hours a week, making $1,200 a month. And I did that for almost 6 months to a year. So when people are like, oh yeah, well, look at you, you became the celebrity trainer. And I'm like, yeah, but I worked for it. And during that time, I got massage therapy certified, nutritional certified. I got NASM certified. I was, working hours upon hours, studying, going to all the Idea Health and Fitness Association conventions, seeing the best of the best, whether it was Juan Carlos Sotana or Tom Purvis or Peter Check or Paul Check, or it's just one of those things where you're studying and you're learning and you're integrating, and you're seeing how movement applies to people. And so I feel like a gift that I was given over the years was to be able to watch people move, watch how people live their lifestyle, and be able to watch how their posture, their form, their resistance, and their everyday lifestyle, you're given the opportunity, if you can understand how they move and how they can incorporate movement into their everyday lifestyle, you can build them a program by doing a body analysis, by taking their shoes and socks off and watching that way their feet walk. Are they inverted? Are they everted? You know, how do their knees cave in? How's their posture? How's their lower back when they're sitting? Are they someone who's sedentary, so their hips are tight all the time? What kind of shoes do they wear? What kind of work do they do? What's their environment? You just need to know everything about people. And nothing is going to make you more successful than if you're a one-stop shop. So I started training, you know, all different types of people when I was at 24 Hour Fitness. And one of the people I trained was a girl named Christy Pierce, who was a swimsuit model. And at the time, she was dating Josh Duhamel. And I got very lucky because he was training for Win a Date with Todd Hamilton. And he needed to get in shape for the movie. And I was introduced to him from Christy. And hey, do you want to do this movie? And you're going to train Josh and you're going to train Topher. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And this is what, a year into my career, you know? So yeah, luck was on my side a little bit. And after training Topher for Win a Date with Todd Hamilton, he introduced me to Anne Hathaway. And Anne Hathaway was training for a movie called Havoc. And then she had to train for Princess Diaries. So I got to spend a year training Anne Hathaway when she was 18, 19 years old. And so through that, I was also training all these other everyday hardworking individuals who just wanted to be in shape, who just wanted to lose weight, who just wanted to be their best and look their best. And I started to play with movement, and I started to look at how everybody's lifestyle is, how I can create a better lifestyle for people, and how I can make these people get in shape based on what they do every day and what they need to do to reach the next step. And so that's how I started working with celebrities. And at the same time, I was still training people, you know, and I say this all the time, we are all people. So at the end of the day, Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift, Carly Kloss is Carly Kloss, you know, Anne Hathaway is Anne Hathaway, whatever it may be. It's just the thing is that when you get to work with celebrities over a period of time, obviously it builds you the chance to excel and create and motivate and, you know, be in magazines and go to photo shoots and go see movies and so forth. And so it's really a place where you can grow, and understanding that if you're put into this part, like I told you, where you're training celebrities here, training normal everyday people here, and you can migrate and mix everything together, you know, you can build yourself a successful career. And not just based on the fact that you're training a celebrity, because for me, my goal and objective was, okay, there's two types of training, right? And we discussed this before. You have the training that the everyday person needs for themselves, and then you have the training for the supermodel, for the celebrity, for the movie, for the photo shoot, for the catwalk, for the, you know, campaign or whatever it is. And so when you're building a structure for your clients and for your people, you have to look at what that person's needs and requirements are, and where are you going to take them. And the only way to do that is to build the foundation to their body. And so that's what I started to do. I started to create a body analysis. I started to create workouts. I started to vary the movements and the working regimen and the cardiovascular exercise and the nutrition and everything based on the individual, so that each individual was able to exercise properly for their own body type and lifestyle. But the method itself works for everybody, because we all take different steps. We all sit differently. We all bend differently. We all kneel differently. We all are prone, supine, sideline. We all work in 3 planes of motion, and everything needs to be based on that individual. So even if you create a program, and even if you go online and say, okay, well, I want you to do these exercises for you, and I'm going to vary these exercises for this person. Yeah, but the person can still do similar exercise to the person that you're training that's a celebrity or a model. It's just they're going to have a smaller step or a bigger step. They're going to have a smaller reach or a bigger reach. They're going to have a different motion to what you are expecting from one specific person.
Yeah.
And so that's why when you're building exercise programs, people are like, oh yeah, well, what makes your app so good? Well, my app is so good because when you do the exercise you're doing the exercise for you. So even though some other people are doing the same similar exercises or taking the same similar motions and steps, using a slant board and using a core board or a Bozu ball or whatever it may be, they're still training differently because they may be doing the same exercise, but the way that they are doing it is not the same way that everyone else is doing it, even though they're doing the same exercise, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah,
you know?
totally makes sense. And obviously, like you said, there's a journey getting up to here, and then you've obviously been able to work with some celebrities, but also with everyday people. It's kind of allowed you to see different ways that different people can be trained, and allowed you to kind of get a sense of who needs what in what situation. So what I want to do is kind of go through a few specific examples of some of the people you trained, and kind of talk about like your thought process behind them and how you kind of built a program for them based on their needs. So the first person that you mentioned was Anne Hathaway, who's obviously a Hollywood actress now. But when you were training her, what did her training look like? And I want people listening to understand, like, he's not saying like this is how you should train. He's kind of going through like how he went about training her. So like, how did you first connect with her, and then which I think you said, and then how did you go about like building a training plan for her and her lifestyle and her needs?
So when I was introduced to her, I was told that she was going to be training for this movie called Havoc, which at the time she needed to lean out her body. And I don't like to use weight, so people are like, "Oh, well, how many pounds did she lose?" It's not really important because it's not fair for her too. Because people don't really like to talk about weight, so I like to keep everything professional. But she needed to lose some weight, and for me, she needed to be topless in the movie and showing off her body, and she needs to be like a tough girl. And so the idea was to incorporate the movement of balance and stabilization for all the action type things that she had to do in the movie, mixed with Pilates and yoga and lengthening and strengthening to lean out her body. And then to feel like a tough girl, you had to do more strength and conditioning. And so each and every day that she would come in, I would vary the exercises and the movements that we do based on the scenes that she was shooting. And so this is where I started to study about film. Backtrack for a second. I got in a car accident in 2004, which left me with 4 herniated discs in my back. I've had 10 surgeries on my body, and I created the method of JG based on necessity. I was always doing similar exercises and similar things, but when I went through this crazy, unexpected, injury that put me in a place where I couldn't really walk, I couldn't really move, I couldn't really push, sit, stand properly, or do anything, I started to create lifestyle. And how can I relate movement to the Justin Gelband lifestyle? So it's the same thing that I did with Anne. How can I relate movement to her motion picture that she's taking part of? So this week she's shooting a nude scene, so she needs to be lean and fit and toned. So we worked more on the smaller muscles and really lengthening and strengthening and toning and leaning and doing everything you can do to make her body look her best. Then when she had to do some of the bullier scenes where she was a little bit more of a tough girl, you start incorporating a little bit more weights, a little bit more physical movement, whether it's on a Bozu or a core board or lifting weights or boxing or everything to get that little bit of aggression and that little bit of chip in the brain. Because to be honest with you, if you look at exercise, what is exercise? Exercise is something that helps you become strong and lean and toned and fit. Yeah, that's great. But it's also mental. And most of the success that people ask me is, how did I become so successful? I wouldn't say that my success always came from the fact that I was shaping the best bodies or making people the best in the world. It's getting into their brain and making them believe that they can reach any goal and any objective and have the best body for them no matter what. Yes.
Can I pause you for a second there? How do you do that? So you said you get into people's brain and help them believe in themselves. Like, what do you do to instill self-belief in someone else?
Challenge. You challenge them. You challenge them with movement. You challenge them with exercise, but not challenge them doing, listen, I always say I can kill people in 5 minutes, right? You do 50 burpees, 40 squats, 10 jump squats, whatever it is, walking lunges with 15, 20 pounds, kettlebell swings, and the person's done. No, you need to challenge people with their resistance-based movement. You need to challenge people with their balance and stabilization. You need to challenge themselves with the boxing that you're doing and incorporating a full body workout all the time. And then as you are building and they're feeling the lean and toneness in their body each and every time. I always say, like I said, I was given a gift to be able to look at people's bodies. So a lot of times people come in from doing a spin class or a CrossFit class or a crazy, physical class where their body's swollen. And so I'll put like an ankle band on that I created for myself where you will lengthen and strengthen almost like you're doing Pilates. And I will literally take out the swelling so that by the time we're done using the slant board and the band and the lengthening and the strengthening, keeping, I always say the smaller the motion, the more resistance, the better for you. So if you can keep that motion and you can keep that movement in such a small way that you're feeling the burn and you're really lengthening, you can teach people how to be positive with themselves because they're feeling their muscles work. They're feeling the burn. They're not feeling exhausted. They don't feel like they have to go home and go to sleep. They feel like, wow, look at my exercise routine. Look at what I'm doing. And look how strong and powerful I feel. And so when you get into their mindset and make them believe that, wow, the exercise and the fitness and the stuff that you're doing is working because it is working, but it's also that they're feeling what they're doing. So doing slow, controlled motion, you're really giving them that ingredient of strength in their own body and mind that, wait a second, I feel so good right now. I have energy. I have, my endorphins are up. I'm not killing myself. I'm sweating. I feel my body. I feel my steps. I feel my rotations. And so it allows the person to do what they want to do and make them feel so good in their body. And that's how you mentally prepare somebody for a Victoria's Secret show or a runway show or whatever it may be, and it's the most incredible feeling in the world. I've done 13 Victoria's Secret shows in a row from 2006 to 2019. And one of the things I always say is that was my Olympics. And why? Because when you have someone like Candace Swanepoel or Irina Shayk, and we'll jump to them real quick before we go to someone else, it's these girls have a job, and their job is to look the best that they can on this runway. And so when I would train Candace for the Victoria's Secret shows, she would be coming from, I'll give you an example, 2012, 13, we had to go to Brazil. She was doing runway shows for a brand called Forum. She just did Fashion Week in Paris and London and Italy. She was at a different body type because when you are doing runway shows, you have to be a certain body type, which is a little bit on the skinnier side. And then all of a sudden you have to do a Victoria's Secret show and you have to put on muscle and you have to put on this body. And so what we ended up doing is we ended up working out for like a good 6 weeks before I traveled to Brazil with her. I went to the photo shoots and to the runway shows, and we literally went at it. And this girl, when she would prepare for a show, she would get mentally prepared in such a way like she's a professional athlete. And we would do all the exercises and all the motions and all the movement for toning. So we would start with, say, 3-pound weights on the ankles, and then we would build to 5, and then we built to 7, and we built to 9. And then, if we were doing any type of exercises with arm weights, we would start with like 2 pounds and 3 pounds and 5 pounds and 7, and everything was building. And we would build to the point where she would just be so rock solid with such a beautiful, sexy, long, lean body that people wouldn't relate her to the gym rat. They would relate her to someone who literally spent the last 6 to 8 to 10 weeks focusing on herself, her body, her lifestyle, and really creating the best that she can from a place where no one thought she could come. I mean, even at the time her assistant was traveling, that was like, I don't know how you did it, but what you did to Candace in 1 month is something that I've never can imagine seeing, because it's something that you were able to build a lifestyle for her, a mindset for her that she could get the body that she needed after going through this exhausting process of running around to all these countries, doing runway shows and doing everything that she needed to do to be successful. And so that's how you train people differently, is you have to look at what their lifestyle is and what you need to do to create that toneness or give them that body, that beach body, the bikini body, or the lingerie body, so that they can feel that when they're walking on the runway, they are strong and lean and toned and fit, and they can handle whatever.
Yeah.
and that's my gift, and I don't really stick my nose in the air. I'm very humble. Like I said, I got in a car accident. I've done 10 surgeries on my body. I'm lucky to even be here right now. But I always say that when it comes to challenges, I live for it. I live for it. So anytime a Victoria's Secret show, Sports Illustrated magazine, campaign, whatever it may be, it's the same thing. It's like, training Irina Shayk for the Fenty show. How did we train? We worked first on the Pilates background because she was traveling so much, doing all her work in Paris and in New York City and a lot of things in London. She was always on a plane. She always had tight hips and back and so forth. She was super lean and super toned because of the fact that we were able to incorporate Pilates with functional movement and then a little bit of weight training and a little bit of boxing. You're giving that variety. And as you know from your business, training is feeling. And that's another gift that I was given. So when somebody walks into the gym, you need to understand who they are. Who are you? Did you have a stressful day or a happy day? Did you have a fight with your boyfriend or girlfriend? Or did you have a bad day at work? Or did you have an illness or a sickness in your family? Or are you running on, fumes because you've been up for 48 hours working on a project or papers or whatever it is? Or are you just ready to go and rock and roll? And that's what makes you a good trainer. That's how you can separate how you make someone feel. Because if someone comes in and they're not feeling really well, you know what we're doing? Pilates. If someone's feeling up to training super well, we're boxing. If someone has the strength and the conditioning to lift a little bit more heavy weights because they're on that power trip, then that's what we do. And so that's what you have to understand about these people. And that's how I create programs for people, because you feel their energy when you're working with them and okay, you know what? They didn't have such a really good day. I'm going to be more focused on the yoga, the Pilates, the meditation, the mindset and making them feel good. Give them a good workout, but don't put them in a place where they don't feel good afterwards because they just had that hard day, compared to someone that comes in and they're just ready to rock. And you're like, wow, I got it. And this is what we're going to do. And this is how I'm going to make you feel. And this is what we're going to all do together.
One thing that's really good. One thing you mentioned as well, it's like a lot of these runway models who you've trained, Victoria's Secret, Sports Illustrated swimsuit, they're traveling all over the place, right? Like, and you obviously are with them as well. Like, how do you train someone when they are, any celebrity, like you're always on the go, like, how do you work with someone who, and we have a lot of people who are listening to this too, are probably even busy parents, professionals who are maybe traveling for work or traveling for vacation. So like when someone is traveling that much, like, how do you go about training them versus if someone were just at home all the time?
It's a very good question. There's a reason why I created the app. Exercise, and I say this to every single person that's listening to this, exercise has to be individualized for you. Not to say that you can't do programs, but it has to be individualized for you. Meaning, if you are traveling, you're on a plane, a train, a car, I have a rule. If you're on a plane, you get off the plane, foam roller, stretching, foam roller, stretching. It's the most important thing. Walking is the best exercise in the world. You don't need to get off a plane and run to the gym and kill yourself. That's how you get injured. That's how you have a problem. That's where you cause stress and anxiety to your body. You just cause stress and anxiety to your body on a plane. You need to be hydrated. You need to be stretched. You need to be elongated, and you can get the blood flowing by walking and give yourself a rest. I injured myself in 2003-4 when I got off a plane in LA to do a pop-up gym, and I went right to the studio and taught a class, and my back gave out after literally 10 minutes. And I had to work for 2 weeks with my back out. And so learned a great lesson, but I also learned that in order for you to be successful, you need to feel your body and understand your body. If someone comes to me and say, I'm not feeling well today, you're not training. What do you mean I'm not training? I'm perfect. I'm great. Don't worry about me. I'm going to be good. No, you're not. No, you're not. You actually need to take a rest. And so exercise is something you should be doing every day, but there should also less is more. You don't have to do an hour. I don't know where anyone came up with an hour. An hour is something that somebody created, and I was like, yeah, you have to train for an hour. No, you don't. You can train for 30 minutes. You can train for 20 minutes. You can train for 10 minutes. But 10 minutes is better than nothing. There's a lot of clients who be like, hey, listen, I'm running late. I only have 30 minutes. What should we do? We're going to train. Hey, you know what? I only have 15 minutes. We're going to train. But I only have 10 minutes. We're going to do something. Movement is so important for your everyday life. One of my friends came to visit me in Brazil, and their father was a little bit overweight. And I said to him, you know, you're such a funny, charismatic man, and you're carrying weight because you're going through a lot of stress in your life. And if you just would walk for 40 minutes a day, all the other ailments you have would go away. And so you have to look at what is your life and lifestyle. So someone may travel and have not enough time to do anything because that back to back to back, everyone can find 30 minutes in their day. I don't care who they are. Everyone can find 20 minutes in their day. You can walk to work, you can walk to your meetings, you can do whatever. Maybe you can't. Okay, find a place, find a time. You should always be able to find time to stretch every single day. You should always find time to warm up, do a warm up before your exercise routine. There's always things that you can do to get your body and the endorphins going and your blood flowing and your body feeling good, even if it's only for 10 or 15 minutes.
Absolutely love that. And that's something that we always talk about with our clients as well. As I agree, a lot of times it's like, I have to be exercising for an hour. But like you said, a 10-minute workout's better than a 0-minute workout. A 15-minute workout's better than a 0-minute workout, because that way you can at least get something in, and something is better than nothing for sure. So kind of shifting gears now, let's talk about a different person who you trained and kind of how things were different. So we've been talking about a lot of the females. Now let's talk about Leonardo DiCaprio. So how did you connect with him, and what was kind of his lifestyle like, and how did you go about determining a program for him?
I met Leo through Erin Heatherton because they were dating at the time, and I was training her for the Victoria's Secret show, and he was introduced to me. And I was asked if I would train him for the Wolf of Wall Street. And one of the things I wanted to connect with him was, his lifestyle is travel. So what's number one? And when you're dealing with traveling, nutrition. So that's what we started with. We started with nutrition. Number two, he has a lot of injuries that he's incurred from being one of the most incredible actors that there is on this earth. That's one thing I have to say. Spending time with him for 4 or 5 months, people can say whatever they want about the guy. He's incredible. He's very, very, very talented, and I don't really, when I look at people, I look at what's in front of me. So I make a box, and he's in my box. And so I'm focused on his work and his life and his lifestyle. And his lifestyle is reading scripts and, being involved in his character. And that's one thing that he excels at, is getting into his character. And part of him being in his character was falling down the stairs, looking like a playboy, doing a lot of different activities. And so when we started to train, I built the foundation first because I had never met him before. So I still had to build him the foundation to movement. He had lower back issues and knee issues. So we worked on that, strengthening and lengthening. And we started to use bands and weights and balance and stabilization and really focus on leaning him out. And that a lot of it came from the nutrition. So we got him a cook. So he was having cooked meals every day. And on top of that, we were really focusing on training for length and strength and for him to lean out. And so it's really one of the things that I was focusing on, his injuries, but also focusing on his posture, his form, his resistance, and his character in the movie. And that's how you separate how you train somebody. So some days we come in, we work on his posture. Some days we come in, we work on leaning and toning, doing some boxing and movement. Some days we work on his physical therapy for his exercise, on top of working on getting him in the pool and stabilizing him and motivating him. And like I said, his motivation is him, and like I said, I was around him enough to see him do, a couple scenes, and it's just, I have no words. That's it. No words. So it's pretty incredible so for me, when I work with somebody in a movie, I like to go to the actual movie set and see what they do and really immerse myself in their culture, because it helps me understand them more and it helps me understand how to make them better. That's what I do with professional athletes too. I watch every sport, by the way, every sport. I had the opportunity to I had the opportunity to work with Pedro Scooby, who is one of the big wave surfers in the world. And one of the things that was important to me was to understand what they do and how they surf and how their balance and stabilization makes them the best that they can on a surfboard. Someone like a Ryan Secrest, who needs to be in shape and feel good and look good when he's doing American Idol. I would do a lot of functional movement and with weights. So instead of using, a heavy weights, we would use medium type weights, and we would involve functional movement with the weights. So we would be doing lateral motions, rotational motions, balance and stabilization, everything to make him his best while he was doing American Idol, traveling on planes, working on the Kelly and Ryan show, and so forth. So this is the way you separate movement and exercise for the body and for a person.
For sure. So one thing you mentioned with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I'm sure you worked on with Ryan Seacrest as well, is nutrition being a big thing, like when they're traveling. So like, how did you go about helping them with their nutrition when they're like in different cities all the time? They're on planes. Like, how do you go about putting
I will say they get a little bit lucky because they have cooks, right? So, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And so I basically built each and every one of my clients, men and women, their nutrition is based on the eat right for the blood type. So I understood what Leo's blood type was, and we got him a cook to cook for his blood type. And that's basically how he was able to survive and do really well, is because while he was traveling, he had someone making him the foods for his specific blood type. And so Ryan, he is the same way. First of all, Ryan loves to cook and he loves to eat, and he loves to eat healthy. And so he got that a lot from his teammate. He used to be with a woman named Shayna Taylor, who happens to be a very good friend and mentor of mine. And she's makes her own recipes, cooks her own food, and is really into the wellness and nutrition part of her life and lifestyle. And the two of them together really created a bond of how to eat properly, how to exercise properly, and what to do when you're traveling. And so when these people travel, you need to look at what you can eat based on your blood type. So if you go to a restaurant, what's there? Look at what the restaurant has beforehand. Look at what you may need to pack food wise if you have a cook or a chef, because you're able to bring your food with you. And the recommendations can't always be the same thing. Hey, I'm gonna have salmon and broccoli and asparagus. I mean, look at what your blood type serves for you. O has different things. O is more of a meat eater. A's are more fruits and vegetables. B and AB are a mix of the two. So you have to understand what works best for you, knowing that food is your energy source. I always say this to people. You can intermittent fast 14, 16, 18 hours. That's fine. But in that 6-hour window or 8-hour window, you still need to make sure you're eating properly. You still need to be sure that you're getting what you're getting out of that. And if you're not, then you're not going to be able to get where you want. Right. Yes. So all these people, when I'm giving them nutritional advice, I'm saying, look at what your plan is, look at what your hourly is, look at what you need to do to create a system so that when you're traveling and doing what you're doing, you'll have access to the proper food, the proper water, the proper nutrients, minerals, vitamins, whatever it is, that's not false and that's not giving you what you don't need, because what you do need is food, yes. And yeah, people can take so many supplements. The reason why I don't have a supplement is because, as I always said, if I wanted to make my own protein shake, it would probably cost $300 because it would be all natural ingredients, and it's very hard to find good food and good nutrition in a lot of places because it's not offered, and you have to actually go out there and search for it. Is there the right? There is.
So one thing you mentioned as well is eating according to your blood type. So how did that become a part of your philosophy?
It came a part of my philosophy because of Dr. D'Adamo. He was introduced to me in 2003. And when I was working with him, I got to go up to his academy. And when I got up to his academy, he has everything you can possibly want. So he certified me in nutrition. They have something called the SWAMI, where they actually look and see, how your blood relates to your jaw, that relates to your leg, that relates to the blood that's, going in the mixer and so forth. And so from there, you really get to figure out what's going to make you the best that you can based on your blood type. And then he breaks down what your blood type is and says, okay, I have, you eating this amount of food at this amount of times, about this amount of calories and so forth. And you know what? He steps out of that and he says, you know what? You don't have to worry always so much about calorie counting and portion sizes and so forth. Not that you shouldn't, but you need to look at what's the daily food in your plate. If you're going to have a little bit of asparagus and you're going to have a little bit of broccoli and a little bit of brown rice and a little bit of chicken or a little bit of fish, and everything is on your plate like this, that's good enough for you. You don't have to make something so big and so overwhelming that you can't eat. When you're done eating, you should be hungry, but then it goes back to, well, maybe I should eat 5 times a day. You don't really need to eat 5 times a day. You need to eat well when you're eating, and everybody is different. So it may work for you to eat 5 times a day. For me, intermittent fasting, and, which I do every single day for 14 to 16 hours, and I eat twice a day, and I feel so much better than eating 5 times a day. And then someone will be like, oh, well, I'm going to do that. You asked me this before, and this is like a no-no. A no-no is to practice what other people tell you to do, because you have to work out what works best for you.
For sure. And I love that explanation. So obviously you're focusing on eating, good quality nutrition, which is obviously important as well. So I want to get into one more person who you trained and kind of chat about how you went about it with her. So another one was Taylor Swift, who obviously is, more of a touring, concerts, things like that. So similar, but then different in some ways. So how did you connect with her, and was her training any different, or how did you go about programming for
her? I trained Taylor for the 1989 tour, and I was introduced to her by her best friend at the time, Carly Kloss. And one of the things that when you're training more for strength and conditioning, and really, I would do a lot of Pilates with her in order to keep her on the lean and fit and tone side. And then we would do a lot of balance and stabilization, strength and conditioning work where you're moving in different planes and you're strengthening your body to be on the runway or on the stage. And that's the most important thing. So you're working on, listen, she's being in all different outfits and all different shoes. She's walking all around. She has to build her cardiovascular system. So you're doing a little bit of boxing one day and a little bit of cardiovascular another day, and you're going on hikes and you're going on walks, and you're doing all these different exercises, and everything is building that building block of a foundation so that when she's on stage, she has the proper cardiovascular system to breathe properly, sing properly, to walk properly, and to focus properly. And so you have to really incorporate a full body workout all the time, because when she's on stage, that's exactly what she's doing, a full body workout. And again, someone who's one of the hardest working women I've ever worked with in my life. She's very aggressive in being her best, and she doesn't give up. So we had fun. We had a good 2 years of working out, and like I said, for her, it was always about a mindset too. How did she feel that day? Some days she felt tired, some days she felt happy, some days she had a lot going on. So I would build the program based on how she was feeling each and every day. There was a good period of time we were only working out online because she was traveling so much. So we made sure that if she needed to look a certain way for a certain show, we would train for that specific show or that specific group of shows, but also giving her rest too, because towards the end of her tour, she was exhausted. She had to go to China, she had to go to Australia. And I think that people don't understand. These people live a grueling lifestyle where, they have to be at the top of their game all the time. And sometimes it doesn't help, that people don't get enough rest, they don't get enough nutrition, they don't get enough life or lifestyle. And, they go through depression or they go through stress and anxiety. And it's all because they have to be at their best at every moment and every time. It's hard that when you walk out of your door every single day, you have hundreds of people chasing you, and you have to be dressed up, and you have to put on makeup and hair and nails and this and that, instead of being an everyday girl, and that's one thing. She's a superstar, but she's also an everyday, wonderful, beautiful, intelligent woman that really understands life and is an actual role model to young women, because she likes to be that everyday girl. But on the flip side, she has a lot that she has to deal with all the time. So you have to build the programs based on that. Oh well, she's going to be on the road for two weeks, so we have to work on strengthening her hips, strengthening her glutes, strengthening her lower back, strengthening her posture. So we would work with bands, we work with medicine balls, and work on strengthening and lengthening, doing the reformer and Pilates. So there's so much that goes into each and every program, but it's all varied based on the person's lifestyle.
I love that. I love that. And as you said, everyone is definitely different, and you have to approach them differently as well. So just a couple more questions to finish up here. So one thing I want to know is, from all these people who you've coached, I'm sure you were learning from them, but then they were also, they were learning from you, but I'm sure you were also learning from them as well. What are maybe one or two of like the biggest lessons you've taken away from working with people who are successful in their careers?
Roller coaster. A roller coaster. Life is a roller coaster. Life throws you trials and tribulations. It throws you curveballs. It throws you lifestyle changes, movement changes, body changes. Working with women change. Women have 28 days. One of my really good friends and clients, Brittany, they created an app called 28 Days, and women, they have their period every month. They have their stress and their anxieties of, having the pre-period, the post-period, the gaining of weight. So a woman may have 2 weeks in a month that they feel good, maybe 10 days. And so you have to really focus on the woman's body, the woman's mindset, the woman's lifestyle, and really understand what a woman needs to make them successful. Men have different work-related issues or problems, or family, kids, whatever it may be, or they have the positive. And I'm not saying that everything needs to be negative, but what you find is that working class and people that are at the height of their careers have so much going on at the same time. Your goal is to make them the best that you can with what's going on. So I learned so much about life and lifestyle, and I learned how to watch how people's moods are, how people's feelings are, how people's reactions are, and that's what has taught me how to build programs for the best in the world, because you have to understand them. You have to know when you can push, you have to know when you can release, you have to know when you have to step back, you have to know when you step forward. One thing I have done my whole life is be honest. I will always speak my mind. Sometimes it's got me in trouble, I'm not gonna lie, but I will always be honest with any superstar, because we're all the same. I always say that at the end of the day, Taylor is Taylor, Josh is Josh, Ryan is Ryan, Leo is Leo, everybody's a person. And so you have to respect them for their work and their life, but you also have to be honest with them, because if you're going to lie to them like everyone else does and say yes to them all day, or tell them they look wonderful when they don't, you're not doing them any favors. And so I've always been the person to work with these big celebrities who actually speaks their mind and tells the truth. And obviously not in a rude, mean way, but in an honest way, and say, listen, we need to work on this. This is what's going to help you be better with this. This is how I can help you with this. And we have to be a team. Everything is teamwork. There's no I in team. I'm not better than anyone. No one's better than me. I always treat everyone with the utmost respect and understanding and feelings. And the more you give to your work, because I love what I do and I love helping people and changing people's lives, no matter from what walk of life. I worked with, the Paralympic Brazilian national, swimming. I've worked with, kids with autism, Down syndrome, overweight, underweight, anorexia, bulimia, MS, cancer, HIV, it doesn't matter. I've worked with every type of person in the world. And the most important part is to understand the person. If you know who they are and you understand, you study their life and lifestyle, you can do and build a program for anyone in the world. But if you don't know who they are and you don't try to understand what their needs and wants, their goals and objectives, and what's going to help you as a team, communication, trust is most important. You're not going anywhere.
Absolutely. I love those words. And then last question, everyone who's been listening to this, I'm sure has gotten at least something out of this. So where can people go and find out more about you?
So, I have my Instagram, which is at Justin Gelband. and then you can go on to you can go into the Apple Store and you can purchase the JG app. It's under JG Justin Gelband. And listen, the app is a way for you to continue your journey, but the best way to continue your journey is to know you. And so the more you use the exercise that I give you and study you and understand your own movements and how you apply the movements and the exercises I give you from the app into your everyday lifestyle on top of whatever else you're doing, that's going to make you the best you and most successful. So I really appreciate you and your time. Thank you so much for having me. I love doing this. I love speaking about health and fitness and wellness, and I'm looking forward to doing this maybe again sometime soon, but also getting to listen and hear what people have to say.
Absolutely, Justin. We really appreciate your time as well, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you so much. Be good.